Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? How's everybody doing this morning? It is 11:30. I am not late. Hopefully. Everybody's having a good day? Hopefully. Thank you everybody for being here. Tommy Dimes is in the house. Rusty's in the house. What's going on, Ricardo? Gonzo. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate the support. Tremendous amount of stuff to go over. I don't even know where to start. We got the big banks. I'm going to come in hot with a few things. And you know what? I think that's to be expected right now. I'm annoyed about New York State. We have new CPI print to go over. We got the Fed. We have oil. We got IBM. There is so much to take a look at. It is almost overwhelming. Hollis, Michelle, how are you on this wonderful Tuesday morning? Let's get started. We're taking a look at the markets. We all know that CPI print came in at 3.5%. We got a lot of news, a lot of things to go over. We're going to make sense of all of it. We're going to go over the banks, go over my hot takes. I may get myself in trouble, but you know what? That's part of the fun of it. You got BM&R making a run at something. I don't know what it's making a run at. Everybody's still bag holding. 16. You know what? I'll take it up 10%. You got a lot more work to do on this one. You got CrowdStrike, cybersecurity running. Quite happy about that. I actually think cybersecurity, I'm going to stop what I'm saying. Michelle, you and Ray better be overseas right now because where you live, it is way too early to be drinking beer. So please tell me you're overseas traveling. I know you guys had some trips coming up. So please let me know that you're traveling. Ethereum, trying to get back to 1900. Rubrik, 88. You got Michael Saylor and team in 97. Rocket Lab getting back over 80. Micron 981. Team Space. ASTS 7019. Okay. That, you know what, Michelle? I just wanted to make sure that you guys were in Germany or somewhere because you know what? If you were back home, I'd say, you know what? It may be a little early for Ray to start drinking. Just saying. Just saying. Fortinet up again, 165. Broadcom trying to get back to 400. You got SpaceX at 143. QXO trying to make a move on something. I'm almost done with my article. Should be out tomorrow. NVIDIA, 208.67. Trying to come back. You got SoFi, 1845. Very happy that SoFi is up right now, especially after the big banks reported. No reason for SoFi to be down today. Alphabet 358, Palantir 132. You got oil flirting with 80. This is not what I want to see. Oil is flirting with 80. The Qs 721, Zeta over 22. You got Tesla trying to get back to 400. We got the SPY up a little bit. Taiwan Semi at 422. Meta 658. TKO Group may be establishing a short-term bottom. And let's see where the losers are. Netflix, Costco, Reddit 199, not really a loser there. Amazon 245.90. Salesforce giving a little back. Microsoft giving a little back. Oracle under 130. Maybe I buy some more today again. CoreWeave falling. It's not low enough for me to continue adding. It needs to get under 80 for me to buy more. ServiceNow 106. And then IBM is the talk of the town. Everybody wants to know what's going on with IBM. Why is it falling? Blah, 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 blah. I get it. Kind of sucks, actually. It really kind of sucks. So, we need to first, I don't even know what my disclaimer is because I have to get the disclaimer out. So, hold on. I got to find a disclaimer. So I'm going to say some stuff. You guys will probably laugh. Some of you will probably be mad. Some of you will be like, he makes a lot of sense. Hold on. Why can't I find a disclaimer anywhere? I usually have it on my desktop. Don't know where it is. Disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor. Please do your own due diligence. Make sure that this is for entertainment and educational purposes only. And with that being said, let's get on with it. Okay. Let's start with the Fed. 3.5% today. I think we all knew that was going to happen. The people that were coming at me, I think that they were just proven wrong. The numbers on headline fell quite a bit. So this is the largest monthly decline since April 2020. So year over year, inflation cooled to 3.5% from 4.2% in May, well below the consensus of 3.8. Now, core CPI was flat on the month versus the expectations for a 0.2% increase. And this is why it's so dangerous for Fed members just to speak their mind. And it's one of the reasons why I'm really angry at the Fed. And I've refrained from putting out a lengthy post about this, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold myself back tonight. I think what Waller did was unprofessional, and I think he should have waited a day. I think that, you know what? It's a problem. And this goes to show you they truly are not looking at anything real time, because the print came out at 3.5 from 4.2. You have 0.7% month over month decline. And the day before the print, one of the most well-known and respected Fed members comes out and starts talking hawkish and insinuating that hikes will be needed if CPI runs hot. Print came out, 15 hours after his speech? They're not looking at real-time data. They never do. It's a problem. It's a really big problem. That's why I built Nowflation, made it free for everybody. And it's why I got a problem with how they look at things. The Fed should be looking at real-time data. This is the United States government that spends $1 trillion a year on the national defense budget. You're telling me that they can't build a real-time system through Palantir or IBM or any one of these companies? You're telling me they can't build this? I refuse to believe it. Snowflake, Databricks, I refuse to believe it. It is BS. They should be looking at real-time data. Waller had no business coming out yesterday and saying what he said. He has every right to think it, every right to his own opinion, but it was wrong to go on national TV the day before the print. What if this happened? This was a huge disconnect, and it just proves the point of why they need real-time data. I don't understand why this continues to happen and why it's so controversial. Oil rolled over. This goes to prove that CPI was energy induced. The energy index dropped 5.7% in June. It was the biggest monthly decline since April 2020. Gasoline was down 9.7% on the month. Now, look, energy is still elevated. Gasoline is still elevated. But under the hood, this was a clean print. Services ex energy were flat. Shelter rose 0.1%. Transportation services fell 0.3%. Food rose 0.2%. Apparel fell 0.6%. Used cars slipped 0.2%. New vehicles were flat. This follows 3 straight months of accelerating inflation that took CPI to its highest level in more than 3 years. All driven, now read my lips, all driven by the Iranian conflict, which caused an energy shock. The ceasefire in June knocked oil down roughly 25%, And that's what showed up in the report. There is no other way to read this. This is all based on energy. Remember, energy touches every part of our lives. Transportation costs, fertilizer costs, inputs on manufacturing, energy touches plastic, it touches everything. When energy goes up, you get inflation. It's economics 101, which I think some people forget. And I don't think that some of these people are living in the real world. And it goes back to my rant yesterday about how bad it would be for rates to be hiked. And what do we do to the American economy? It would be detrimental. It would be absolutely detrimental to the economy. So I'm not happy about it. Not happy with Waller. I wish that Warsh could get a hold of everybody. And I do know President Trump will have a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister of Iraq. I have it up. We will watch it. Not going to apologize for it. When the President of the United States speaks, I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican, I pay attention because I don't let politics sway my investment decisions, and I care about what moves the economy. Okay? So I don't apologize for shit. Here we go. Fed angle. This is the hiking debate. This is not a cutting debate, unfortunately. July hike odds spiked. Let's see where they are. Let's see if I'm going to get even angrier. CME Group, where are we at? Okay, I'll take that. Drastically changed from yesterday. At least we're at an 87.7%. We're not getting a rate hike in July. These morons. Only apologizes in specific videos for the community. That's right. I will only apologize for the community, not for me. You guys are the best. But look at how different this was. This was a much different picture yesterday than today. Let's see where we are going out. Still no signs of a rate cut on the horizon. None. It's okay. It's all right. We'll figure it out. I think when they start looking at real-time data, it'll be much different. Now, the Fed has held rates at 3.5 to 3.75% all year. And the June statement, I mean, Warsh has continuously said they're going to deliver price stability. They will meet their target. I think that he knows that they can meet their target without raising rates. Now, here's the big asterisk, and I think this is what the bear case is going to fall back on. And I will make an apology right now because I can't do 10 things at once. And I read through, well, I shouldn't say read, I skimmed through 5 earnings reports this morning. So I got up early. I went through all the big banks and Goldman. I have not been able to watch the testimony. I've been working for all of you, putting everything together. So I have not seen his testimony yet. But the big asterisk right now is where oil is, because the U.S. has been hitting Iran pretty hard. And unfortunately, we don't know what this is going to do long-term to oil. Oil is approaching 80 right now. And that's the big asterisk. If oil continues to rip higher, it's going to give the hawks on the Fed more reason to discuss rate hikes, because in their minds, that's how they deal with CPI running hot, which I think is disingenuous. I think it's politically motivated, and I do not think that they are acting on behalf of the economy. I really don't. I really wish, and I know it's very hard. It happens with me also. I think it's very hard to separate what you think is the best course for the economy personally and what is actually the best course, because sometimes those things are different. And I think people let politics cloud their decisions too much, and I think that's happening. In March, not a single Fed member was penciling in a hike. Now, not to be fair, not every Fed member was penciling in a cut either. But you go from 0 to 7 from the March to June meeting when oil went up and already rolled over. I think that that's crazy. Oil rolled over. Anybody who looks at that knows if oil stays between 70 and 75 rather than 95 to 115, you will get cooling inflation over the next couple of months. So for now, I will say this, if oil was at 110 when the Fed meeting happened, I wouldn't have a problem with people penciling in hikes because that's a regular reaction to some people. But oil had already rolled over. So I'm not buying this bipartisan bullshit. I'm not buying it. I think some of these Fed members are politically motivated, unfortunately. And we're going to have to see what happens. Hopefully, we do not get oil going haywire in the next couple of days. And I think I got to roll into the Iranian conflict right now. And we'll go through that, and then we'll get to stocks. So where we stand right now, the June 17th memorandum of understanding between Trump and the Iranian president has absolutely collapsed. President Trump declared the ceasefire over the last week, and last night marked the third consecutive night of U.S. strikes in Iran. There is no ceasefire. It's over. Okay? It is over. So the rapid fire timeline, Saturday, Iran fired on a commercial ship, declared the Strait of Hormuz completely closed. Sunday, the U.S. struck multiple sites. Iran retaliated with strikes on neighboring countries, which triggered another round of U.S. strikes. And then Monday, Trump announced the blockade is coming back, and then we just started hammering them. President Trump announced a 20% toll, which I think is ridiculous. I don't think that that can hold up under international law. I am not a legal scholar, so I'm not even going to get into it. This is a dangerous situation. Now, it's dangerous because of the oil math. Brent surged 9.6% yesterday, settled at 83.30. It was the biggest one-day percentage gain in over 6 years. That includes the Ukrainian-Russia crisis at the height of it. The Strait of Hormuz carries about 20 million barrels a day, which is roughly 20% of the global oil and LNG supply. Iran is threatening a devastating response if the U.S. strikes their, I can't pronounce it, Pickaxe, I guess, mountain nuclear site, which I don't think Iran's in any position to really make threats at this point. But be that as it may, this is a very dire situation that I wish never happened. I think that this is dangerous for a lot of reasons. And unfortunately, there's a lot of innocent civilians being impacted by this. And I really wish that this would end soon. But we got to call balls and strikes. And this has the ability to make oil go back up over 100. We need to see the next couple of days are very critical. And if oil goes back up over 100, I'm going to have to, or even over 90 at this point, I think that I'm going to have to change and go back on what I said about cuts and say that we're not getting cuts this year. I'm still trying to hold out. I need another month to go by. Still trying to hold out for one cut this year. I think it's warranted, but unfortunately, I think the situation is getting so difficult that the Fed is just not going to do it. So we'll see what happens. That's where I'm at on it. And Trump is calling this military skirmish and notify Congress that limited action is resumed. He will be addressing the nation on Thursday. I have no idea what he's going to be talking about. We got to see how this goes through. Now, let's get to what everybody is saying. IBM. Worst day since 1987. Let's bring it up on the big chart. IBM. Oh, man. This is what we call no good. Okay? This is what we call no good. Yes, I do own a little bit of IBM, not much. That is ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. So it's down 25% today. IBM announced surprise preliminary Q2 earnings ahead of the July 22nd report. The stock, I still can't believe I'm looking at this red candle like this. It's crazy. This is the worst day since October 19th, 1987. And the fact that the numbers fell, where are we at? Over 25% when IBM is still seeing Q2 revenue of $17.2 billion, up 1% year over year, or 1% versus the expected 17.85 billion. I mean, what are we doing? I get it. This isn't what people want to see. And look, I read the letter. In a letter to investors, their CEO straight up said that they faltered, that numerous large deals failed to close. And that is what played out, and it was worse than their expectations. Clients shifted spending towards supply constrained hardware, memory chips instead of software and services. On top of that, the Z17 mainframe cycle is wrapping up. Infrastructure revenue was already expected to decline into the low single digits this year off of a strong mainframe launch. Now, IBM got downgraded by HSBC to 191. Big bear call. Morgan Stanley and Oppenheimer had bullish targets coming in that are likely going to get revised. Polymarket just put 25.5% probability on IBM beating when the full numbers land on July 22nd. That's not good. Microsoft is falling. ServiceNow is falling. Salesforce is falling. The IGV is down. IBM is having a ripple effect. And now there's a big debate. Is this an IBM execution stumble, or is this the first hard evidence that supports the bear thesis that AI infrastructure and memory spending is crowding out the rest of enterprise IT budgets and leading to companies going more down the AI route and impacting software companies? IBM software grew 11% last quarter. So I don't think it's demand collapsing, but the market is certainly taking this as capital is going toward constrained hardware. Now, I don't believe that this is selling the AI eats software budgets. I don't. This is an unfortunate situation. I want to listen to the earnings call. I want to listen to where their CEO is at, what the tone is, what they say, what the CFO says. That's going to be next week. And I think that this is an overreaction, but I also want to see the forward guidance. Now, being down 26%, you would think that they would have missed earnings by a tremendous amount. Revenue, and when I say miss earnings, okay, when I say miss earnings, I mean a crater. Their revenue is up 1%. Now, they're probably going to miss on the top and bottom line by the way it looks, but they're not declining their revenue. So we'll see what happens. I think this is an overreaction. I don't think it's going back to 300, but I do think that this is going to get bought up at some point. So we'll see. But we really got to go through this next week. IBM makes mainframes. They do make some chips, but not much. They have transitioned to consulting, large businesses consulting. Good point. Good point. The IBM market cap just immediately went to Anthropic's market gain. Yeah, I'm with you. See what else is going on. That is so nasty. And Nebius is under 200. CoreWeave is at 80.37. It's getting closer and closer to my buy line. S-Max, thank you very much. Can you suggest me 3 stock picks? I mean, listen, I can't tell you what to do. Okay. I cannot tell you what to do. What I can tell you is that personally, what I have been buying is Microsoft, Oracle, and CoreWeave. I have no idea if those are going to go up. I happen to like them. And that is what I have personally been buying. I may be early. I may be wrong. I may be right. I have no idea. But I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what I'm doing. AB, thank you very much. Up 500% on AMD, 15% down on IREN and CoreWeave and Oracle. Once again, I can't tell you what to do, but I will say this. Nobody ever got hurt taking a profit, but you got to decide if you think AMD is going much higher or not. I mean, AMD's on a roll. Everything I am seeing is leading me to believe that the AI revolution only goes further. The Meta news yesterday that they will not be done building their data center in Louisiana until 2036 is so bullish for the AI trade that I think the chip companies, NVIDIA, AMD, and Broadcom, will continuously do well over the next several years. Listen, that's a very personal question. If you should take profit or not, I have no idea. I think that you should have a framework, and this goes for everybody. I think everybody should have a framework of when you are investing in individual companies, what you do when certain things happen, bad or good, period. Listen, that's a different story. What do I think of AMD's valuation? I think it's expensive, but with the amount of forward growth they have, I think it's a little expensive today, but if you're willing to hold it 5 years, I think it makes sense. That is where I'm at on their valuation. Now I'm going to say something. I'm reading the chat right now, and I want everybody to give me their honest opinion because I'm going to write something tonight on X, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm so angry at the state of New York right now, my home state, because they just put a moratorium on new data center buildouts. I got to tell you, this is crazy. It's crazy because every state is in competition. In the United States of America, you have 50 states to choose from to set up a business or to engage in activity. You are going to go where your capital is treated correctly and fairly and where you think that you can have a great long-standing relationship. Okay, you know what? I'm going to shut up. We're going to move to President Trump for a minute. If it is not insightful to the war in Iran, I will shut it off. That's the only thing I care about right now.
Very soundly, very conclusively, and he wasn't favored. But by the time they got to know him, he ended up winning, and he's going to be there for a long time. So I just want to say it's a great honor to have the Prime Minister of Iraq with us. He's he's been a great fighter and he's been a great fan of America. We'll be discussing that a little bit with you, but they have tremendous oil reserves. They have tremendous potential wealth, and they have tremendous wealth, not only potential. But he's done in a short period of time, he's changed that country so much, especially toward their thinking about the United States. And we have partnerships. Chris was just saying we have tremendous oil partnerships all of a sudden being formed over the last short period of time. And I guess you're going to be announcing them this week or next week, but massive, among the largest. So they have done a fantastic job over the last very short period of time. But they have a great leader, the new prime minister. He's a great leader. I think he's going to be there for a long period of time. And it's great to have you at the White House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he's a young man. He's young and he's handsome, which I don't like. I'm not happy about that.
شكرا جزيلا. لقد عقدنا اجتماعا جيدا وقد دعوته إلى وجبة الغداء، وهذا لم يكن ضمن البرنامج والجدول الذي اتفقنا عليه، لكن هنالك كيمياء عظيمة بيننا وبينهم. رئيس الوزراء يقوم بعمل رائع. أنا لم يتوقع أحد أنه سيفوز في هذه الانتخابات، لكن المرشح المضاد له كان شخص لم يعجبني ولم تكن لديه آراء جيدة تجاه أمريكا، لكن كان من المهم جدا لي أن تفوزوا أنتم في هذه الانتخابات، وأنتم تقومون بعمل رائع جدا. والآن لدينا فائز جديد لم تكن حظوظه كبيرة لكنه مع ذلك نجح في هذه الانتخابات. هو شرف عظيم بالنسبة لي أن أستضيف دولة رئيس الوزراء هنا في البيت الأبيض. هو محارب عظيم، وهو أيضا من المعجبين بأمريكا والولايات المتحدة. العراق طبعا دولة غنية لديها كثير من الاحتياطات النفطية، وهي دولة مليئة بالثروات، وفي وقت قصير تمكنتم من القيام بالكثير وتغيير، على الأقل تغيير شعور العراقيين تجاه أمريكا. وكما قال كريس وزير النفط وأشار إلى ذلك أن هنالك صفقات تجارية كبيرة في مجال النفط سوف يتم الإعلان عنها هذا الأسبوع. أنتم تقومون بعمل رائع وقمتم بعمل رائع خلال وقت قصير.
Why are they not using the OpenAI translate services? Why are we still having a person translating so we can't understand it? I don't get it.
في مقتبل العمر أنتم شاب أيضا ووسيم، وهذا طبعا لا يعجبني، لكن مع ذلك يشرفني أن أستضيفكم هنا.
Please, thank you. أشكر حفاوة الاستقبال إلى فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب.
Thank you for the warm welcome by His Excellency President Trump.
وهذه هي زيارتي الأولى.
This is my first visit
إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
United States of America.
فهذه الزيارة لم تكن زيارة عابرة.
This visit was not just like any visit.
وإنما زيارة إعلان شراكة اقتصادية.
Rather, it's an announcement of economic partnership.
تحدثت مع فخامة الرئيس.
Where I talked to His Excellency.
30/9 سوف تخرج القوات الأمريكية.
By the 30th of September, the U.S. forces will be out of Iraq.
وسوف تدخل الشركات الأمريكية.
While the U.S. companies will be inside Iraq.
ودائما تخلق العلاقة المجتمعية هي الشراكة الاقتصادية وليس العسكرية.
While the social relations is about like economy, it's not like about like military relations.
أنقل تحياتي.
I would convey my greetings
من أقدم حضارة في العالم.
The oldest civilization in the world.
إلى أكبر قلب اقتصادي في العالم وتكنولوجيا.
Economic and technology heart in the world.
وأكرر شكري إلى فخامة الرئيس على حفاوة الاستقبال.
My thanks to His Excellency the President for the warm welcome.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Please. Go ahead.
سمو سعادة رئيس الوزراء، ما تطلب بحصر سلاح الميليشيات بيد الدولة وتم انتباه الدول وعدم مهاجمة الدول جوا، هل هذه أهداف يمكن أن تتحقق قبل الاستمرار؟ Mr. President, if I may.
Who are you with?
I'm with Arabia. I thought it would be
okay.
Sir, is the military attack on Iran, is this a strategy to bring them back to the table? Or is it to degrade them so the regime will eventually fall?
Well, we don't think we need the military there anymore. It's a very big operation. And what we do have is the oil companies are all going in now, and they're doing partnerships with Iraq, and they're getting along very well. The relationship is a whole big relationship where we don't need the military there. We're there to help them. We're there to protect them if need be, but we don't think that's going to be necessary. And their primary, I consider an opponent. They might have considered a friend, but I consider that an opponent was Iran, was a big burden on Iraq because they were the bully of the Middle East, as you know. And we were just talking about that, but they're not going to have that problem anymore because Iran has been very much destabilized, and really their military power is just a tiny fraction of what it was just 4 months ago. So they're not going to have that problem. I think it's really, in a sense, it's given them freedom to do what they have to do. And I think that's one of the reasons that our oil companies are going in there at levels that have never been seen before. So, you want to answer?
شكرا جزيلا على السؤال.
Thank you for your question.
ابتداء في منهاج الحكومي
According to the program of the government,
هو حصر السلاح بيد الدولة،
is to restrict the possession of weapons to the state.
وهذه نقطة أساسية
And this is a basic point.
ولدي قرار بها غير قابل للخيار.
And this is like a decision, it's not an option.
تم استلام
We received
أسلحة كثيرة من قبل بعض الفصائل،
weapons by different factions,
واللي يسلم سلاحه
and whoever surrender his weapon
ويتحول إلى جهة سياسية ومدنية.
turned into like a political or civilian.
من ناحيتنا سيتم التعاون معه.
We will cooperate with them.
بعد 30/9
After the 30th of September,
لا حاجة لوجود أي
there's
فصائل،
no any need for the presence of any faction,
لكون الفصائل
because factions
هي حاجة وليس محنة،
is a need, it's not a profession.
وماكو مبرر لبقائهم بعد
There's
30/9.
no any justification for their existence after the 30th of September.
إن شاء الله نهاية هذا العام أو بداية العام
So hopefully
القادم
by the end of this year or by the beginning of the next year,
سوف نعلن أكبر مؤتمر السيادة الوطني.
the sovereignty conference is the biggest conference in the region.
قرار العراق بيد العراقيين،
The Iraqi decision is by the hand of the Iraqis only,
وقواتنا الأمنية قادرة على حماية
and
أراضيها.
our security forces are capable of protecting their borders.
بعد
So
30/9
after the 30th of September,
لا نسمح لأي جهة تحمل سلاح خارج
we
نطاق الدولة.
never accept for any entity to carry weapons outside the control of a state.
Thank you, President Trump. I have two questions. I was wondering if you could explain your changing thinking on the Strait of Hormuz, applying a 20% fee. How did you get to the decision you just announced?
So when I put that out yesterday, we've been doing that for many, many years. It was never fair to me that we would be guarding the strait when we basically don't take anything. We don't need the oil at all. And it wasn't important for us, but it was important for allies. It was important for people that we get along with very well, including the major Gulf state countries. So I put it out yesterday. I thought it was good. I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs, and all of the people that we all know and we all love. And they've been very strong partners. And they said, we'd love to do it a different way. We'd love to invest in the United States with billions and billions of dollars and continue our record setting, because there's never been a time like this with the United States, with the factories, with the plants, with everything else. And we would like to invest tremendously in the United States as opposed to charging a fee. And I like that, actually, because I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the strait or for any other strait relationship in terms of other sections of the world. I don't think anybody should be really in that position. But we were doing it as a reimbursement. The Gulf states are going to invest a tremendous amount of money into the United States, and that was very satisfactory to me. I think it's actually much better.
If I could also ask, are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think, he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first, I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem. But what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is very, almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. Sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it by if you have a very bad back. That's a sign. It's a bad sign. So if anybody has a bad back, it's a pretty rough thing to think about. But the fact that's one of the primary signs. And he would tell me he had a bad back, but little did anyone realize it was for that. So, and when that bursts, which it did, it burst. There's not much. So I don't see a lot of evil there. I know there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going along, and I don't think the FBI. I think the FBI is wasting their time if they're doing that. Yeah.
Sir, just on the prior question, the Hormuz Strait whole idea for you, that's dead now. That's completely gone.
No, I just told you. You have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, primarily, and then others. I spoke to all of them, and they would love to invest more money in the United States at record amounts, and that would be very acceptable. And this way, there's no fee. I don't like the concept of a fee, but at the same time, it's not fair that we're protecting this strait for the entire world, for China and everyone. I don't mind protecting it for China. I don't mind protecting it for anybody, but it's unfair that we're not in somehow compensated. And we've been doing this for many years. It's bothered me 25 years ago. It bothered me. During my first term, I was doing things like you have to invest in the United States. But by doing it that way, there's no fee. They're investing and they're getting a return on their money, and it's good. But they're going to be making massive investments into the United States, and I like that much better.
Can I ask you a bit about the meeting you had today, whether you discussed OPEC? There's been some reporting that Iraq is pushing for changes to OPEC, a larger share, and even that they might consider leaving it over.
That's the gentleman right here, because here he is. Would you like to know about it?
Are you considering, Mr. Prime Minister, leaving OPEC, or are you pushing for changes within it? And Mr. President, would you support?
Well, I support him.
For
I supported him very early I endorsed him, something I rarely do, but I've had great successes endorsing. We just had Colombia, which was a big one. Argentina was a big one. We had many. I've endorsed, I think everybody I've endorsed from a foreign standpoint, they just win.
Yeah.
And, I've been hearing great things. I'm a student of a lot of history, and I do know a lot about the history of Iraq. And I've watched what was happening in Iraq with the elections. And I put a very strong endorsement out because I was very unhappy with the man that was supposed to win the election. And this great gentleman, I think he's going to end up being a great leader. He won. So I'm very happy about that. As far as OPEC, that's his decision. And you might ask him that question.
لا أوبك إحنا أحد البلدان المؤسسة لها.
We are one of the countries that established OPEC.
لكن نريد حقنا وحصة منصفة للعراق.
We need like a fair share for Iraq.
العراق حارب داعش.
Iraq fought ISIS.
والإرهاب بأجمعه.
And terrorism at all.
وبدعم الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Support of the United States of America.
وهذه الحرب مع داعش.
This fight with ISIS.
كلفتنا نفقات كبيرة.
It cost us like huge amounts of money.
ودمرت البنى التحتية العراقية.
Destroyed the Iraqi infrastructure.
مقدار الضرر اللي أصاب العراق.
The damage that really was against Iraq.
أكثر من 400 مليار دولار.
Is more than $400 billion.
لليوم بعض العراقيين مدن مدمرة.
Until today, like some Iraqi cities are totally destroyed.
ويسكنون في مخيمات.
They're like living camps.
والآن لدي خطة أعيدهم إلى دورهم.
I have a plan to get them back to their homes.
نريد حصة منصفة للعراق.
We need a fair share.
لا أكثر من ذلك.
We need a fair share.
I might just answer because if you remember, even though I was a civilian and had no thought of running for president, I get a disproportionate amount of publicity, as you probably heard. And I used to say, don't go into Iraq. Don't attack Iraq. Frankly, they attacked the wrong country. And they did a lot of damage. Yes.
Thank you. Given how the Iranians have been behaving, Do you have any regrets about lifting the naval blockade or giving the sanctions
No.
waivers?
No, I gave them a chance. I wanted to give them a chance at making a deal. We had a deal 2 days ago. It was done. And then all of a sudden, they couldn't do it. They didn't like something about the deal. They couldn't do it. And they shot first. And that was a big mistake that they shot first, because we have been knocking the hell out of them. They're very difficult people. 47 years we put up with it. The SS Cole, you go back all the way, thousands of people, thousands of Americans were killed. A lot of soldiers were killed. A lot of soldiers are walking around or not walking around. I mean, they've been so badly injured. The arms, the legs, the face, with the Soleimani, with the bomb. They call it the roadside bomb. Most people call it the roadside bomb. It's a disaster. And I killed him in my first administration. Had I not, it might be a different story today. He was a mad genius. He was probably a madman, but he was a general, and he had total control over the country. And I actually think the leaders of Iran were afraid of Soleimani. But I killed him. And by the way, with him went a very bad person also. They happened to be meeting each other at the airport. And a very bad person from Iraq happened to be a leader of Iraq, happened to be killed in that same incident. So I don't know if I did you a favor or not. I've never asked you that question. You probably would know better than me. But no, I think that what we've done to Iran is we've taken away almost all of their military capability. Go ahead, you explain it. Explain it. Hold on. He has to hear that. Go ahead.
هو بيسأل عن قاسم سليماني، وانه كيف تم قتله على يده في الولايه الاولى له في عندما كان رئيسا للولايات المتحده. فالفكره هو طبعا كان شخص ذكي جدا.
All right, I'm gonna stop it here. I think I got what I wanted from the Strait of Hormuz on this. I will do a recap about this tonight. But look, Trump's been very clear about Iran for 40 years. Okay. I know a lot of people dislike President Trump, and that's fine. But the man has been very clear. He has not wavered. There's a clip from 1980 or 1981. And I think that I'm not going to play it. I want to move off of President Trump. But if you want to watch it, you can find it here on X. It's also circulating around YouTube. And he's been very clear. He is not just doing this. This is truly how he feels. Anyway, I happen to like what he said about foreign nations investing in the U.S. instead of paying a fee. He flat out said he doesn't think fees are the right way to go. Hopefully, this gets alleviated. I'm taking that as bullish. I'm taking it as bullish. And look, this is the reality of the situation right now. If you look at oil production, and next time I'm on with Matt, I will speak about this with Matt. But if we look at oil production, the United States is the largest producing nation of oil. And he's right. Technically, we don't need anybody else's oil. We are a net producer. But that's not the way. We don't have an American oil market. They are on a global scale. So what happens overseas does impact the price of oil. Two things can be true at the same time. The United States does not need foreign oil at this point, but we do need the global oil markets to cooperate in order for the price per barrel to be at a lower price point. Now, if you look at Iran and you look at the past 10 years, their oil production has fallen off a cliff to around 3.7 to 4 million barrels per day. I mean, they're at just over 2 million. It's cut in half. Now, if Iranian oil does not come back, but Iraqi oil comes back, it'll even out. You look at the past 10 years, Iraqi oil was more than Iran was producing back in 2017, 2018, 2019. It's fallen off a cliff in the past couple of months. So if we can get our oil companies going in and increasing production from Iraq, it'll solve the supply issue. It will solve the supply issue. Trump is probably making a lot of deals behind the scenes. And look, you can like him, you can hate him. I don't really care. That's your prerogative. You have every right. But I would suggest everybody do their due diligence on what exactly is going on and what the imbalance of oil is. So that's where I'm at on this. Hopefully this situation in Iran is finished in the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. Obviously, you guys know my stance. I want this to be over. All right, IBM is going down. 218, not good. Nebius is getting hit. CoreWeave is getting hit. $80 on CoreWeave. ServiceNow is 106. Qualcomm 178. Qualcomm is getting more interesting. It is getting more interesting. Iren 38. Uber 72.81. Oracle is under 130. I may buy more. It's under my buy price. Microsoft 385. I think today is an interesting day to pull the trigger on certain things because the IBM report is impacting a lot of companies right now. We got Netflix. No good, going down. Reddit's over 200 again. We got Hood at 110. Tesla 396. TKO Group finding a short-term bottom. Palantir going up. And look, if you guys looked at my article about Lockheed Martin, with the amount of strikes that the U.S. has conducted over the past several days, I think it makes more and more sense that munitions are going to need to get replenished over the next year. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, L3 Harris, Northrop Grumman, I think they all do well. Now look, SoFi is going up for many reasons. We got Zeta at 22.48. Broadcom's trying to get back to 400. Lena's back. Chels is here from her meeting. You got Fortinet, 165. Addicted to Trading has been here the whole time. Rusty's here. Got a lot of people here. PB, Tommy Dimes. Rocket Lab's over 80. Look, I don't like Rocket Lab going down. Like I said, two things can be true at the same time. I can think that Rocket Lab is expensive, but I also don't want to see it go down because I don't want to see people lose money. Whoa, Lena, you were making Rusty some coffee? What type of coffee we're talking? Better be regular coffee, none of that hazelnut stuff. Micron 984. And then BMNR trying to do something. Oh my God, hazelnut. How did I know? How did I know Rusty was a hazelnut guy? How did I know that flavored coffee? Next thing you're going to tell me. Did you use flavored creamer? That's the next thing you're going to tell me. Got Ethereum trying to get back to 1875. It's at 1872. A lot of things going on in the market. Now, I want to go over the big banks and what this means. So as I said, I spent a lot of time looking at the big banks. And JP Morgan, that's the one that everybody should be concerned with. And by the way, for the Milk Gang, I put out a video about Starbucks for members only. I actually had one of my articles created into a video. I actually think they do a good job. Starbucks is so good. I'm just so used to it. Anyway. Okay. JP Morgan. The highest quarterly profit in their history. $21.2 billion in net income. Up 41%. EPS of $7.70. Revenue, $58 billion. 27% year-over-year increase. That's going to tell you that SoFi is going to probably do pretty good, right? So the reported EPS included $1.56 per share of one-time items, $4.6 billion gain on the Visa stake, plus $1 billion in equity investment gains. Trading was the story. Equity revenue exploded 86% to $6 billion, $2.1 billion above the estimate. It was helped by the SpaceX IPO. Total markets revenue, $12.1 billion. Fixed income rose 6% to $6.1 billion. Investment banking fees jumped 30% to the highest level in 2021. Every single line item of the business posted record revenue. The net interest income, one of the things I was very interested in looking at, $105.5 billion, up from 103. X markets, $96.5 billion. This offset expenses, which were also guided up. It was a very strong report. Now, what Dimon said, and everybody listens, especially me, when Jamie Dimon talks. And listen, I would like Jamie Dimon to run for president, personally. I think he would be incredible for this country. He called the results the product of a particularly favorable environment with an elevated level of market activity, combined with rigorous execution, years of consistent investment, and thoughtful capital deployment. Every major line of business posted record revenue. On the U.S. economy, Jamie Dimon said, the U.S. has demonstrated notable resiliency with stronger business investment and hiring. And he credited 3 specific tailwinds: AI-driven capital investment, fiscal stimulus, and the benefits of more efficient regulation. Now, he gave a big warning, and the framing was that there are several risks shifting below the surface. They are geopolitical tensions and wars, sticky inflation, large global fiscal deficits, and elevated asset prices. He said that they remain manageable, but could cause meaningful disruptions when they shift or collide. And on the media call, he added that these forces can easily collide in ways that surprise you. The bank is positioning itself for a broad spectrum of outcomes. So he's been building this theme all year. He always talks about tectonic plates. And it's the language that first showed up in his April shareholder meeting. So he laid out 8 multi-year risks. And look, the one that I am very excited about is listening to him about AI. And this goes back to what I've been saying about what I'm worried about. And I think AI is absolutely real. I think the AI revolution is very real. And Jamie Dimon, he said it today. AI has already helped JP Morgan cut 40% of jobs in certain roles. Now, that's not 40% of jobs. It's in certain roles. He noted most of those people were offered positions elsewhere in the firm. He said there are nearly 1,000 AI use cases running across the bank in areas, you ready for this? Like risk, fraud, marketing, hedging, prospecting, note-taking, idea generation, and document reading. The efficiency gains, he said, are only just getting started. Now, an analyst asked him a specific question, and there was a little bit of pushback. And he was asked whether he's underselling the efficiency impact, and pointed out that Block, a much smaller company, said back in February that AI helped to cut roughly 40% of his workforce. Jamie Dimon answered that the priority is using AI to do a better job for clients, and he fully expects major efficiency gains in certain parts of the company over time. So they are trying to find other jobs. They are repositioning people. They're not just cutting people. But the fact of the matter is they are finding ways to automate redundant tasks that can be done by AI. And I said that was going to happen. Now, I thought that this call was bullish. Everything I read about the report was bullish. And when I see CPI coming in lower, as I said it would, now my system said 3.89%. It came in lower than my projection. It is indicating that inflation is rolling over with energy. As long as oil rolls over, if this week becomes a blip and we finish the month under 70, I don't care if oil goes to 85 if we finish the month under 70. As long as the long-term trajectory is going down, that's what we need. We need oil between 65 and 75. I would prefer it at 65 by the end of the summer, if not lower. And you will see CPI continue to roll over because it is all energy induced. Now, the reports out of the rest of the big banks set the tone for earnings season. Wells up $1.72, or I should say, the EPS was up. It was up 25% year over year. Net income was up $6.4 billion. The NII grew 5%. Investment banking fees are up. And then you got Bank of America, 121 EPS, up 34%. Net income up 27%. NII rose 9%. Citigroup, same thing. EPS was $3.15, up from $1.96. Revenues increasing. The big banks are absolutely crushing it. And oh yeah, Citigroup, the capital return, they just gave you a 12% dividend hike to 67 cents a quarter starting in Q3. Plus a $30 billion multi-year buyback program. Jane Fraser has done an incredible job with this bank, and she should be saluted and celebrated. Incredible job. Now, Goldman Sachs, blowout. EPS of $20.98 versus $14.48 expected. Equities trading was up 72%. Investment banking fees jumped 55%. Asset and wealth management posted $4.6 billion with record management fees. Absolutely crushing it. The dividend is going from $4.50 to $5. Goldman returned $5.4 billion to shareholders through the quarter. And what this tells you, from the four big banks and Goldman, I'd say them and Morgan are the two biggest investment franchises. They're telling us the capital markets are on fire. The consumer looks fine. Credit is clean. And net interest income guidance moved higher. It's hard to write a better setup for the group. Now, there is some pushback. Capital rules eating into buyback capacity. Question of whether trading environment is at its peak. And now we're going to see what Morgan Stanley has to say tomorrow to round out the group. But the banks set a bullish tone. They absolutely set a bullish tone. Today could have been a lot worse. Imagine what would have happened if CPI came in at 4.5% and the banks put up bad numbers. Imagine what would have happened. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was saying about my home state of New York. And this is going to be difficult for some people to hear. Other people are going to celebrate it. I think New York is making a very big mistake with this moratorium on data centers. If New York does not open itself up for business, companies will just find other places to set them up, and maybe you don't want them. That's fine. If they're in a rural area, I want them. The reason I want them is because they bring jobs directly and indirectly. You set up a large data center, that company is bringing jobs. Not to mention, you need indirect jobs to support it. Plumbers, electricians, contractors. You need food establishments. You need everything to support it because it is going to house a ton of people. Also, there are ways to make it where energy costs do not go up for residents. If you make them have to build their own energy behind the meter, whether it's solar or natural gas, in order for it to get lit, it will not impact the grid. So the other thing, when you put data centers up, companies that want access to the lowest latency times will establish themselves near that data center. There's a reason why there are so many data centers in Virginia. It's because the United States government, the Pentagon, the CIA, the FBI, all the letter agencies are there. You need network engineers. You need data engineers. You need a lot of different jobs when a data center comes to town. By New York going down this road, you open yourselves up, because guess what? When they shot down Amazon, and Amazon was building a shipping, hold on, MY shoots down Amazon. I guess that's not the right wording. There's something else come up. In 2019, Amazon had initially planned to build its new headquarters on a large parcel that included a 672,000 square foot warehouse and adjacent city-owned parking lots in Long Island City. However, the project was abandoned for many reasons, okay? This would have brought tens of thousands of jobs, if I'm not mistaken, to the area. Not to mention, it would have had so many indirect jobs to support those people. It's crazy that we shot that down. It is crazy. You want opportunity, and bringing business to your home state provides opportunity directly and indirectly. I don't understand why people don't understand this that are elected officials. It doesn't make sense. And they're going down this road with data centers. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Hopefully, we get some elected officials in the future to make different decisions, because I'll tell you what, they are only going to see a mass exodus of people. That's the only thing that is going to happen from here on out. The New York Post just reported New York just lost another $11 billion of tax revenue. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Jamie, thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for your services as a construction worker in New York City. Yeah, Amazon, they were going to go to Long Island City. And as a construction worker, I'm sure that that would have benefited you and a lot of your friends and local unions. What happens when you have big building? You need construction workers, you need electricians, you need plumbers, you need contractors, you need stuff to support it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you know what? You're going to see states like Florida, states like Texas, states like Louisiana pick up the scraps. States that are more friendly to capital. But you know what? If that's what the people of New York want, that's what they want. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Does not make sense to me. All right, we got some things to celebrate right now, ladies and gentlemen. And then I want to watch a video with all of you and commentate over it. Bitcoin trying to get back to 65,000. Trying to get back to 65,000. Oh my God. Is crypto back? We can't say crypto's back, but you know what? Maybe it's starting to get a little footing. I would disagree with this statement that nobody wants to live in Florida and Texas. a lot of people, I mean, what, they're two of the largest states in the country by population. A lot of people live there. So just saying. Now, maybe this is a fake out. Maybe this isn't. If Bitcoin goes back, I'm not a Bitcoin guy. Okay. But I want Bitcoin 100,000 because of Ethereum. And look, a lot of people are moving to Florida, so I would not say that you wouldn't, that people don't want to live there. People absolutely live there. Oversaturated in Florida. I know there's a lot of people in the chat from Florida, so I think that's a ridiculous comment to make. Absolutely ridiculous. Micron 985 trying to get back. AMD 554. We're back over 550. Andrew, how are you? So maybe I'll bring I tried doing a dividend farming portfolio, and you know what? I haven't been able to keep up with it. I do this on Seeking Alpha with my dividend harvesting, $100 a week. Maybe I'll try to do it for YouTube. And then there was Sachin. How are you, buddy? Sachin, shoot me a message. Let me know if your schedule's cleared up. I'd love to get you on the channel and talk to you at some point. It's been too long. Addicted to trading. I am sorry that other people have taken over your great state of Florida. But you know what? That's what happens when you have no income tax and when you have laws and policy that actually benefit people. That's actually what happens. Conservative millennial. I'm getting the hell out of California for Texas. There you go. There you go. Okay. Michelle's going the opposite direction. And I get it. Florida's hot. I get it. But moving to Utah, that's not exactly New York or California. So I think Utah's got some good laws out there. Oh, Asa, let me ask you, what part of Long Island? I really want to know, what part of Long Island did you move from? If you don't want to tell me, you don't have to. Nassau or Suffolk's fine. A town would be even better, but you don't have to. Trying to keep up with the chat. Man, you guys are great. You guys are absolutely great. It takes an hour to go 15 miles. That's just like you're in New York. Addicted to trading. Where are you going? I thought you liked it down there. Lindenhurst. Okay. I like it. Westbury. Look at that. Ricardo's in Long Island. Can't wait to leave. Patchogue. Love the water over there. Garden City. Oh, there's a pizzeria over there I love. Can't think of the name, though. Do a Tampa, Florida meetup. I think we're going to do a Miami, Florida one. Addicted to trading. So I'll be talking to Amit. I think 2027, we're going to do a Miami one. I think that's on the list. Garden City is beautiful. I like Garden City a lot. But you know what? Just because it's beautiful doesn't mean that the policies that are being passed are good. Huntington, is Hanu still out there? I haven't been out to Huntington in a while. There used to be a couple of restaurants out there that I liked. And I'll tell you this, I think Little Vincent's is overrated. Look at all you from Long Island in here. Wantagh, Hempstead. Now in Wantagh, I bet SmackDown goes to Mulcahy's. Miami needs to be in the summer. I mean, I thought Miami in the winter, so we get nice weather. What's going on here? Flushing, okay. Like it. Glen Cove. Ogner, you're in Glen Cove. Huh. There's a lot of good spots there. La Ginestra, great restaurant. A lot of good spots there. Big Dog, Jello, what's going on? I don't know if we can swing it, but we'll figure it out. I'll see what we can do. So crypto is looking like it wants to do something. Hopefully it does. Don't want to be a bag holder no more on Ethereum and BMNR. You know what? Sometimes you got it, though. AMD's 555. We got CrowdStrike 207. Got Broadcom 393. NVIDIA running down a dream 210. We got 210 on NVIDIA. We like it. Meta 663. You got Palantir moving. Ultimately, this is not bad. Ultimately, this is not bad. Oil, I don't like that it's at 79, but you know what? Hopefully in a couple of days it falls. You got Reddit breaking out above 200 again. Zeta 2240, SoFi 1858, Netflix 7385. Let's see who the biggest losers are. Ooh, hold on. Qualcomm under 180. CoreWeave is trying to stay above 80, but you know what caught my eye? Where was it? Salesforce moving upward again. Salesforce is catching the bid. They may not be shook of IBM earnings. They may not be shook. And look, CoreWeave can go a lot lower, okay? CoreWeave can go a lot lower. But I'm not interested at the moment. I bought a bunch. I need to chill. Now, if it goes, I said if it goes below 80, but I'm thinking 78 is the next area. Amazon 245, Oracle. I mean, like I said yesterday, and I've been saying, I think Oracle long-term, very bullish. Very, very, very bullish. So I want to watch a video with everybody. I have not watched it. Okay, I have not watched it. I know it's long. We're going to break it up into sections, but I want to hear what he says on the state of AI. I fully admit I watch All In every week religiously. So I want to see what Shamat says. This is one of the first times he's been on CNBC in a long time. I have not seen this. We're going to react to it together.
He is sitting on set watching all of this play out. Hasn't been here in a bit, and we're thrilled to have him back. Chamath Palihapitiya is here. He's the founder and CEO of Social Capital, CEO of 8090, and host, of course, of the All In podcast. And you're wearing a suit, no less, for us. So
my entire job is selling enterprise software. That's what I do.
That's what you do. So actually, before we get into anything, and I want to get into all what's happening in the Valley, AI, everything, we're going to go back in time, talk SPACs, because people have asked. I know your favorite topics, but just you.
SPACs. He's got to hit him with SPACs, huh? Got to hit him with SPACs.
Your take on the IBM situation to the extent that you think it has ramifications in any larger way? Or maybe it's just specific to IBM?
I think the thing that we know is there are a handful of companies that are compounding revenue $1 billion a day. And at some point, the downstream ecosystem has to make money as well. And then the ultimate buyer of these tokens also has to make money. And so at some point, the question has to be asked, if 2 or 3 companies are going to generate $200, $300, $400 billion a year, and it's doubling and tripling every year, where is the rest of this money going to be made, and who is implementing it in such a way where these profits are to be had? And I think you're starting to see a little bit of the wheels come off. Like, just at a very basic level, if you think AI is like oil, let's just use this analogy to make it simple. A barrel of crude is what, $86 right now?
Right now, unfortunately, it's gone up, yes.
No. WTI is 80.
WTI is
81.
81, okay. Let's say a barrel of intelligence, which is 1 million tokens, okay? You can buy that barrel for $26 from Anthropic's really good model. You can buy from OpenAI for $26. Anthropic's latest model costs you $56. Elon is selling you a barrel of intelligence for $1. Zuck is about to sell it to you for $1.50. Demis and Sundar are trying to sell it to you for $1. The Chinese will sell it to you for 50 cents. So this rationalization has to happen. We have the same input that has this crazy cost. If you've made a bet very early around one of these folks that are selling extremely expensive barrels of intelligence and you try to pass through the cost, you may run into some downstream difficulty. And that has to play itself out.
And you think that's playing itself out in the IBM story? Or you're saying that's just a broader...
No, that's just a broader comment. I think that Arvind he's done a great job. I mean, look, it's undeniable the trajectory of the business, and he's been able to pivot it and orient it around cloud.
Right.
And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. But the reality is everybody that's in this ecosystem, me included, we're all struggling to figure out how do we price this stuff so that the ultimate buyer is making more money, is growing faster. And that is still a question mark.
Well, I think you're getting to a point that Alex Karp, who was just here about a week and a half ago, was making about the sort of token maxing conceit, which is that some of the
token maxing. And I think Chamath makes a good point. I do think LLMs will be commoditized. I do believe so.
These companies are, this is to the Anthropic OpenAI piece of it, where you have CEOs, and I've now talked to them too, who say the math is not mathing for us.
The CEOs and the CFOs, in my opinion, probably have no idea how much token maxing is going on inside of their organizations. I suspect what will happen is one day you're going to have a miss, and EPS will be off by a few pennies. And the CEO will say to the CFO, what happened? Where did all of this incremental OpEx come from? And they'll trace it to the $50 barrel of intelligence versus the $1 or 50-cent barrel of intelligence. That hasn't happened yet.
This is interesting. There's the software stack. What is also interesting, so it's a Dow component, IBM. So the Dow's down 500 points. Right. Just do the math, 50 points times whatever the divisor is. The NASDAQ was up more than 100. It is still. So if it is a question mark about technology in general, you're not seeing it yet in the NASDAQ, and that big 500-point drop in the Dow is because...
Well, I think in fairness, the NASDAQ has a lot of other stuff, which is...
It's not software.
All the hardware, all the memory, all the chips. That entire complex is still going to make a ton of money.
Right.
The question is, again, eventually,
right,
if you buy oil, you need to put it into a new engine. That engine has to make you go faster, right? It has to burn cleaner.
It sounds like you're suggesting that the LLM complex at the high end, which basically is Anthropic and OpenAI in terms of the pricing of whatever that is, and that's still in the private markets, is going to break? Is that what you're trying to suggest?
I think that's what you're trying to get me to suggest.
No, I'm not.
Let me be very clear. The hardware and memory complex is going to run.
Oh, Chamath just turned the tables on Sorkin. That was hilarious. Good for Chamath.
For another couple of years, because there are enormous constraints in that ecosystem. So there's tremendous scarcity. Those things are going to continue to do well. NASDAQ will probably overperform the S&P.
Okay.
If you look at the only other pocket where there's true growth, it's the LLM complex, as you said. I don't know what the long-term valuation is, but if you see a bunch of public companies in the next few quarters miss because of an OpEx miss,
right,
and they trace that back to runaway spending that they didn't know existed inside of their organization, you're going to take a little bit of the air out of that specific category.
Okay, so we just talked about 4 of the big model makers, maybe 5 of the model makers. We talked about OpenAI, Anthropic. You mentioned Gemini. We talked about Grok, and we talked about Meta.
Yeah.
How do you see them all stacking up longer term?
I think that you're seeing a convergence. It used to be the case that when a model dropped, it was so superior to everything else. You're like, oh my God, we went from kerosene to Jet A, right? To jet fuel. So of course I'm going to go to jet fuel. Instead, I think the analogy now is we've seen the nth version of the iPhone. We've all kept upgrading to it. We're still using it for roughly the same behaviors. My elbow hurts, what should I do? And you're wondering to yourself, well, why am I spending all of this money? And I think that's where we are today. So if you're going to direct all of this behavior, why don't just spend 50 cents or $1? That's a pretty rational question.
But then the question is the Meta model, for example, or Grok, as good as or close enough of an approximation for whatever you think you need to get done using
For most use
Anthropic?
cases, the answer is a screaming yes. For some very narrow use cases, no. But in those narrow use cases, I would say spend the $50 barrel of oil. Spend it. It makes sense. If you're a cybersecurity company, if you're Palo Alto Networks, and you can book billions of dollars of more incremental revenue by locking down all the infrastructure of big companies, use Fable.
But the freak out over the weekend, even inside of Anthropic, we talked about it yesterday morning. Anthropic, as you know, was planning to end the sort of free use of Fable for some of the paid users, sort of end that extension so that you'd actually have to upgrade or pay more to get access to it.
They can't afford to.
And then all of a sudden they say to themselves,
Can't afford to do it.
We can't afford to do it because if we do, people will cancel their subscription and go to OpenAI.
Exactly. And the OpenAI model is excellent. Sol is excellent.
Right.
Mythos, Fable, it's excellent when you can use it. So all of these folks are hitting the same constraint. They're massively power constrained. They're massively data center constrained. And so they are usage constrained. Meanwhile, the guys that have all of that capacity, Google, SpaceX, and Meta, are finally getting their footing, and they're starting to consistently release model after model after model that's 80 to 95% is good. It's a very complicated dynamic for the leading labs.
Do you see a shift, by the way? There was, for a long time, OpenAI and Sam were sort of under a lot of fire. There was big questions about trust and the like. And by the way, maybe even more questions given this Apple situation on Friday. But there seems to be some dings taking place on the Anthropic side, too. And this maybe gets to the Alex Karp of it all. But people who believe that either the spending part, the math doesn't make sense of what's happening, or you look at the Figma story, for example, of them going into different businesses.
Those are really concerning. I mean, look, let's be clear. There are 3 leaders of lab companies who have been in the spotlight for 20 years. Elon, you've seen every facet of his personality, and you can judge over 20 years of behavior. Sundar and Demis, 20 years. Zuck, 20 years. And I think those folks have shown that they basically run a relatively straightforward, well-understood business, right? There aren't any rug-pulling situations. Maybe Facebook had some in the past. I think they've cleaned that up, okay? But Google certainly never has, and Elon never has. You may dislike him for other things. And then all of a sudden you have these 2 guys who are incredible entrepreneurs, clearly, but the amount of collectible data that you can look at, behavioral instances where they've had to make hard decisions, are still relatively limited because they're only a few years into being this public and being this scrutinized. So if you look at the first few years of Facebook, messy. I don't know about Google. Maybe the first few years.
We're going to talk about you and your 20 years. You're going to get to talk about.
I mean, I was caricatured as the guy at Facebook that made everybody cry. But then you look back, it's a $2 trillion company. So the tears are crocodile tears.
Can I just? IBM is saying that, we just missed closing a couple of big deals. They always say things like that. But this is interesting. The clients that they were trying to close were distracted by industry-wide cybersecurity concerns and the stuff that
If you have
You believe
somebody-
that?
If you have somebody
That now they're going to say the weather was
No,
bad.
I have a real issue with this, and I've said this a couple times, so I'll just say it again. You can look at a graph of the financing needs of these companies,
Right.
and you can pinpoint when they oscillate between two different messages. Message one, we've created a super god, which then the VCs are like lemmings. They run and they're like, well, I need to be on the right side of the super god. And then they flip to other two, which is, this is a complete weapon. Let's shut the world down. And why don't you regulate everything? They just go back and forth. We've had this game. Now the problem is, at the scale of $1 trillion of market cap, that game has these ripple effects that touch everybody in the industry. This is why, by the way, I think what Alex Karp did, he deserves a medal. This is an incredible human being who had the courage to come here. Everybody watched that clip. All these S&P 500 CEOs called me after that clip saying, help me interpret this. And I'll tell you, he was on the right side of history, because what he's showing you is that, hold on a second, like, you need to have a much more predictable way of running your business, because if you are, bending to the vicissitudes of private company funding cycles, or private companies' desire to need to live up to trillion-dollar valuations, you're taking a level of risk that you probably didn't know you were taking. That's a fair critique, I think.
We got to take a pause for a second. Just one last question related to, because it's on the Alex Karp topic. Effectively, what he's saying is that Palantir you are going to need some kind of layer, though, in the middle.
I believe that too.
Partially to protect you. He was arguing in some ways from the LLMs ultimately.
Here's the thing. The LLMs do a very good job of a very superficial form of privacy called zero data retention, ZDR. That's the term that they use. And they say, enable this and everything's hunky-dory and everything's okay. But when you look at the fine print, let's just say Joe puts in the secret formula for Kentucky Fried Chicken into the model and say, help me optimize it. That part is ZDR'd. But then if you look at a little thing like if he just clicks the like button, is there any guarantee that that information is not stored somehow, that he liked this kind of a thing? And the honest answer technically is no, because we don't know how to do that. The other interesting thing that I would point out to you is that when Alex came on, I think he said something extremely legitimate. I think it applies to companies. It also applies to countries. So at some point we should talk about this. And at no point did Anthropic say, you know what, he's got it totally wrong. Here's the exact technical details. And so there's nothing to see here. And I thought to myself, why wouldn't you, the minute after that clip started to go viral, be completely specific and repudiate the claim? And I think it's funny that we're here 10 days later and nary a word has been uttered, other than Alex's version, which the reason is because we all know is the true version.
I happen to like what Chamath said. A lot of people don't like him for some reason. I happen to like Chamath, and I do think that these models are going to get commoditized. I mean, I don't think that Anthropic has the ability to pull back Fable 5. If they do, a lot of people are going directly to OpenAI. I still think that Alphabet is going to be the ultimate winner. I think they're holding back models on purpose. And I think that they are positioned the best because their data centers, the delivery devices, and so just so you guys know, Warsh is speaking right now live. He's still live. Or did it just end or just ended? Okay. I'm going to have to go through that later. Obviously, I didn't watch it. It just ended. Let me get rid of that poll. Alphabet, I think, is going to be the long-term winner because they have always been at the forefront. They have a vested interest in Anthropic. Disrupting them now when they're invested does not make sense. After Anthropic goes public, I think that Alphabet's going to release a model that is just so damn good. It's going to blow our mind. I'm sorry. Alphabet's going to launch a model that's so damn good it's going to blow our minds. But they need Anthropic to go public first. And look, Palantir, Karp is probably onto something. I don't think Karp would just say they're going to do $15 to $18 billion of free cash flow if there wasn't a path to it. He doesn't seem like somebody who is just going to say things just to say them. And when you look at their revenue growth and you look at their margins and you look at their free cash flow, Palantir could be very inexpensive right now for a long term. We'll see. Associated Press, I will do that later. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we're probably going to need an orchestration level. And that level is probably going to be Palantir on top. Now, oil's up, and we got a lot of things running right now and a lot of things falling. Am I going to buy more CoreWeave? Not this second, but I am getting interested. Bitcoin's still up. And look, the biggest news for the chips, okay, is Meta. Meta is spending $50 billion on a 3,200-acre site down in Louisiana. The chips are doing well. NVIDIA's at 211. 211. NVIDIA does not want to make up its mind. Micron's almost at 1,000. Marvell 222. Palantir's at 133. You gotta love it. Space Mob is doing okay. Zeta SoFi. Even Netflix is turning green. Salesforce is still over 170. We'll take it. SpaceX, 138. Uber, 73. iRent, 37.50. Oracle, 129.80. CoreWeave broke 80. I know it's infuriating. Let's look at it on the big chart. It's been an ugly 3 months, to say the least. It's been an ugly 3 months. I went through this before. I don't want to say it again. You can rewind. I'm going to get too angry if I talk about it again. Do not like this chart at all. Okay, IBM, 25%, horrible day. I bet you this gets bought up at some point. Nebius, 195. Qualcomm is the one we should be watching, everybody. Qualcomm is, in my opinion, okay, the sleeper. Qualcomm is the one that's a sleeper on their profitability. And I'll tell you this, I think CoreWeave and Nebius are down on the New York news. Look, New York putting a moratorium on data centers for a year is BS. Now people are going to get scared. More states are going to do this. They're down. If they keep falling, I will buy more. The reality is we need more data centers. The reality is that CoreWeave and Nebius will build more data centers. I don't think that they're in a position where they're going to stop building. And you know what? It'll end up being New York's loss. It'll end up being a loss of everywhere else. I don't know. Bad policy is bad policy. Well, Marsh, we're at an impasse. As long as the data centers are in rural areas in New York, I don't care. I certainly don't want them on Long Island or New York City. But you'll put them on the outskirts of Rochester, places like Buffalo. There's a lot of land in New York where there's nothing. So I want it because of jobs. My own opinion. I want it because of jobs. I think Trump wants Greenland for many things, not just rare earths. I think he wants it for many things. So let's look at this. It's hard to get bearish, at least me. Sure, today's not a good day. It's not a good month for CoreWeave. I get it. But you look at the quarterly revenue, how can you not like that? That's an inflection point. That is an inflection point, especially with the quarter over quarter jump here. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Biggest dollar amount jump we've seen. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. When does CoreWeave report again? Let me find out for you. CoreWeave reports on August 6th. August 6th. Right, the debt, but you're assuming that they're not going to be able to scale EBITDA to the point where the debt doesn't matter. I believe they will. And if we layer in the EBITDA, they're doing on a quarterly basis 1 billion. Let's change this. Let's do TTM, okay? In the trailing 12 months, they've done $3 billion in EBITDA. They will be okay as long as they keep building. Well, look, let's address this, okay? I want data centers, but not near me. Yeah. Look, for the United States to remain a superpower in AI, you need data centers. When data centers are built, okay, they create jobs. If you build data centers with their own power structure behind the meter, it does not impact residential supply. So, do you want China to be superior on AI and compute, or do you want America to be superior? Do you want more jobs in your state or not? That's what it comes down to. Because this isn't stopping. This whole bullshit of not in my state. Look, there's a lot of states that have a lot of areas where you can put up data centers and it's not going to impact residential communities. But this isn't stopping. And you want to know what the problem with this whole moratorium with data centers is? You get enough states to sign on and you stop building, you stop progress in America, and then China catches up. And guess what? China then becomes superior. Trust me, you don't want that. You want American AI to be the best there is. And once again, if you build the power behind the meter and you have the data centers run off their own proprietary turbines, or SMR technology actually gets to the point where it works, it will not impact residential. And you know what? How about this? How about this? If you get rid of all the bullshit regulations that these stupid states have, and you actually allow more pipelines coming in, there will be more natural gas. How about energy prices are directly correlated to the source of energy you're using? If it is more capital efficient to generate electricity from natural gas rather than wind and solar, why wouldn't you increase natural gas? It's just fucking stupid. It is stupid. So, we'll see. We will see. And you know what? 100%. It is about private property. If you own the property, I'm with you on that one. I am with you on that one. Also, another thing I get annoyed at is all these stupid regulations with what you can do on your property. It's crazy. Crazy. I just crashed out the prediction market for Stephen to drop an F-bomb. I'm with you. I am with you. When Trump gets Greenland, put them there. I mean, how about if Canada becomes the 51st state? I wouldn't mind that. Make Canada the 51st state. Put all the data centers in Canada. It's freezing cold up there. Oil and minerals. It'd be pretty good. It'd be pretty good. Tanner can become an American without having to move. Tevis could become an American without having to move. I mean, that would be awesome. No, don't bring too many data centers to Canada. Oh, there's a problem with putting data centers in areas that are residential. It's called there's nowhere to build. You put them where there's open land. My favorite game as a kid was Monopoly. Yes, it was. Tanner's backyard. Put it right in his backyard so his sleep score goes down. I mean, that would be pretty funny. We're not going to become like Europe with no AC. That's not happening. Listen, once again, you guys got to do your own research on this. Do you know why that's happening in Europe? Like, seriously, do you know why? I'll show you why. Show me where the European nations are producing oil and gas. This is crude oil production on a daily basis. United States, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Canada, China, Brazil, the UAE, Iran, Iraq, Norway. Norway is the first European nation. And then you got Kazakhstan, Mexico, Kuwait, Nigeria, Libya, Venezuela, Oman, Algeria, Argentina, Colombia, then the United Kingdom. Look, Europe is energy constrained because they don't produce energy. It's plain and simple. The United States is not in that situation. They are in the lead by a country mile with production of energy. You need to increase production. Europe has a ton of oil in their sea. Extract it. How about whatever? That becomes a whole political thing, okay? But they can increase their production. Everybody needs energy. Period. It's called bad regulation, and it's called, you know what? I'll say it. Okay, get ready. You ready? The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Okay? Do not sit here and try to convince me that somebody is going to be able to build a computer model that can accurately predict every single thing about the weather by looking at samples of soil. Get out of here. We don't know anything about the weather, okay? We don't know anything about the weather. We've been studying weather for 100 years, maybe. Look, I'll tell you this. It does not get nearly as hot in New York in the summer as it used to. I can tell you that. These regulations are being made by people that are scared of their own shadow. And that's a problem. We need policy based on common sense and what we need. That's all there is to it. 4.6 billion years. I think the Earth can figure it out. We can't control the weather. Sorry. That's all there is to it. I mean, I remember when April and May were beautiful, warm. It was scorching outside in the summer. It's not like that. Not like that right now. So maybe we need to take energy supply more seriously and think, the world revolves around energy. If we increase supply, prices will go down. But if we constrict supply, prices are going to go up and we're going to have to put mandates on what you use it for. It's common sense 101. What I'm saying is the climate always changes and we have no control over it. You can't fight something you have no control over. That is what I am saying. The climate changes every day. The climate consistently changes. It's always changing. So we need to really look at what is important and what's important, making sure that Americans and global citizens have access to energy. So we'll see. We'll see. Europe is a victim of their policies. That's all there is to it, is a victim of their policies. And the United States is not in that situation with the amount of energy that we produce. That's all there is to it. So go from there. And Bitcoin, 64,000 and change. 64,000 and change. Ethereum, 1865. Micron, 988. The chips are working here. NVIDIA, 211.46. Fortinet, 166. Look, cybersecurity is going to become increasingly important. As AI continues to expand, we're going to have more sophisticated attacks. Look at CrowdStrike, 208. Now, I think CrowdStrike's expensive, but that doesn't change the reality that AI will expand. And as AI expands and gets better, cyber attacks are going to expand and get better. You're going to need more cybersecurity. That's all there is to it. And this is about making money. And when you have an arms race in intelligence, the last thing you want to do is pump the brakes. That's why I am so passionate about what is happening in New York, because it has greater ramifications for the country. And you know what? This isn't a political thing. This is a common sense thing. If we constrain compute in the United States, I promise you China will not follow, and they will capitalize on that opportunity. That is the last thing that you want. The last thing you want is for us to have a second-rate intelligence and AI layer. You do not want that. I mean, you can't deny that laws that we put in place in America will be upheld other places. We can't make laws for anybody else, only us. So I am looking at this for what it is. We need more data centers. The chips are doing well. There's a ton of CapEx being spent. And I think heading into earnings, because we just got strong earnings out of the banks, I think the hyperscalers are going to do really well. And I think that we're going to see these chip companies do really well. I mean, listen, the chat getting triggered over climate change is crazy. It's crazy. This is about the stock market. And you know what? If you want your cost of energy to go down, you bring more supply of energy on, period. Put more solar up, put more pipelines in. Wind is bullshit, doesn't work well. Solar and pipelines are what you do. I mean, it's common sense 101. In order to bring the price down, you need an oversupply. Conservative Millennial, thank you for the support. If we didn't let the Russians beat us in space, why would we allow China to beat us in AI? Absolutely. Absolutely. And we shouldn't let anybody beat us on AI. Broadcom 393, Meta 663, Alphabet is moving. I like it. Palantir 133. I think that these are the companies. I think that these are the companies that are going to continue to do well because the amount of money that has to be spent will continue to be spent. These companies are not stopping. They are not stopping. And look, I'm going to make another statement. I don't let politics control my investments. I don't give a shit about politics. I care about common sense. And I invest where I think I'm going to make money. That's all there is to it. Hood 112, I like it. ASTS 69.56. BMNR is almost at 16. Oil is staying at 79. This is not good. We need this to reverse. We need this to reverse. Now, I do think QXO is going to be very good. I'm halfway through an article. Actually, I'm a little bit more than halfway. I am 1,481 words in. So I'm probably 3/4 of the way in. I'll probably hit 2,000 or 2,200 words. Should be out tomorrow. Boom. Free markets can solve problems quicker than cheaper than government. Absolutely. Let the free markets sort it out. Absolutely. ET's at 20. All right. Salesforce 170.65. Where are we on CoreWeave? We're still under 80. Not necessarily what we want to see. How do I not use AI to write my articles? Pretty simple. I don't use AI to write my articles because if I used AI to write my articles, I wouldn't retain any information and I wouldn't be able to recite things. That's why. I actually still read through the earnings transcripts. I still read through the earnings reports. Has the government ever solved anything? I'll tell you what. Back in the late 90s, when they wanted to put Social Security in the S&P, the government blocked it. One of the worst moves that we've done. Qualcomm 178. Crazy. This just gets cheaper. And I'll tell you, we get back to 160, Qualcomm is going to be really, really, really interesting. Really interesting. Nebius 195. I mean, look, everybody is wondering why Nebius is doing this. Well, how about this? What would you rather? Let me ask you this. And I did this the other day. If we take EBITDA and I just do the revenue for CoreWeave, and this is on, well, let's go back to quarterly. Why? I mean, clear as day, CoreWeave is absolutely decimating Nebius on the amount of revenue they're generating. Absolutely decimating. How about EBITDA? And yes, there's a debt structure problem, but their EBITDA is over $3 billion on the trailing 12 months. They can afford the debt. So I happen to like both of them, but I like CoreWeave a little bit more here. So we'll see. Yeah, that I don't want to get political, but I got to ask a question. Whatever happened to free market thinking? Clinton was all about the free markets. I don't get it. I get it. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm an economics person. I like free markets. And when you're looking at the stock market, you got to go by economics and fiscal policy and what's happening. So that's all there is. Do I think we continue up? I think we're going to continue up. I am hopeful. No, I'm not. Joni, I'm not starting a poll on it. I really don't want to turn this into it. Now, I do think we're going to get good news, hopefully, on oil. And if oil comes down, this market's going to roar. Yeah, don't worry. We're no polls. We're not jinxing anything. No polls. No polls. No polls. We're going to end it out. No polls. But we're in a good place, okay? CPI came in. Let's go to now inflation. I'll tell you what, this is the problem with looking at backwards looking data. It rolled over, okay? We got a 3.5% print. It rolled over. The reality of the situation is that the actual was 3.5%. The street was 3.8. The Cleveland Fed was coming in at 3.92. Now inflation had at 3.9%. The street did come the closest, but that's a pretty big rollover. And if you look at where we were, okay, in March it went up 3.3, then 3.8, then 4.2, and now it's down to 3.5. As long as oil doesn't get out of control over the next week, we should continue to see a downward momentum on the CPI print. Keep in mind, it depends what the context is, Matt, about what do I care about. It depends on the context. So right now, my now inflation gauge is at 1.79%. It moves every day. It has not calculated. I don't remember when it's going to show us when it's going to calculate what the next print is. I got to check the settings. But the next print is on August 12th. You can go here and get all the information for free. And look, here's the other thing. And let's look at this real quick. For everybody that thinks whatever they're thinking, do you know what the reason gasoline prices are different state to state? It's called local and state taxes. That's what it's called. Local and state taxes. And it goes back to tax policy. But I have inflation coming down, then going back up and coming down. So we'll see. The print was 3.5. It was very good given the situation. It is showing inflation is rolling over with oil. So we need this to continue lower. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to end it out here. Thank you very much. I'll be back later. I have a video coming out at 2:30. I have Brandon on from Invest with Brandon, and we talk covered calls and cash secured puts. He has some very interesting insights. I think you will find it very interesting. I'll be back later tonight, and we will do a members only at 9 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Really appreciate it. And I'll see everybody later tonight at 6:30 and then at 9 p.m. for the members only. And if you do me a favor, if you like the content, please like and subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Enjoy lunch. Go get a coffee. And let's make some money in the market. Thank you very much.